For centuries, the galaxy thrived under the rule of the Galactic Council, a coalition of advanced alien species that dictated interstellar laws. Each race brought unique strengths. Some excelled in technology, others in physical might, and a few wielded psychic powers that could bend reality itself. Amidst these giants stood humanity, a fledgling species that had only recently ventured beyond its solar system. To most in the Council, humans were little more than a curiosity, a minor player in an arena of titans. Their territory was meager, a modest collection of planets on the outskirts of Council space. Their technology, while functional, was decades behind the galactic standard. For this reason, humanity was deemed unimportant, a species without power or influence. This perception fostered arrogance among the other races, who saw humanity as nothing more than a source of cheap labor, exploitable resources, and occasional amusement. Humans, however, were not blind to their status. Delegates from Earth and its colonies repeatedly appealed to the Council, pleading for fair trade agreements, protection from raids, and recognition as equals. Their words were met with derision. Council representatives, many of whom hailed from ancient, storied empires, dismissed the requests as the whining of a weak and irrelevant race. Some even mocked humanity openly during council sessions, laughing at their desperation. This disdain was more than verbal. Alien warlords often targeted human colonies under the guise of security operations, plundering resources and enslaving populations. The Council turned a blind eye, labeling these actions as internal disputes unworthy of intervention. Humanity endured, but the weight of these injustices grew heavier with each passing year. The breaking point came with the destruction of Andar Prime, one of humanity's most prosperous colonies. A fleet from the Varnak Dominion, a militaristic empire known for its cruelty, descended on the planet under the pretense of enforcing council sanctions. They bombarded cities from orbit, razed infrastructure, and slaughtered millions, leaving behind only ashes and screams. Children, families, entire generations were wiped out in hours. When news of Andar Prime reached Earth, the grief was immeasurable. Memorials lit up every human settlement, and a deep, collective mourning gripped the species. The Council issued no condemnation, and the Varnak Dominion, far from apologizing, justified the attack as necessary to maintain order. To them, humanity's silence in response was proof of their cowardice, a confirmation that humans were incapable of meaningful resistance. But beneath the surface, humanity was changing. The grief hardened into resolve, and the whispers of despair turned into quiet discussions of retribution. Governments across human space began pooling resources in secret, forming alliances that transcended politics. Hidden factories churned out weapons, and scientists worked tirelessly to push the boundaries of human ingenuity. What humanity lacked in raw power, they intended to make up for with determination and strategy. The galaxy continued to scoff, unaware that the species they deemed weak was preparing for a reckoning. And so, humanity waited, watching and planning, biding their time for the moment to strike. When that day came, the galaxy would never forget. The galaxy's underestimation of humanity reached its peak just as the first coordinated strikes began. Without warning, entire fleets of human vessels appeared in systems thought to be impregnable. They moved with precision, hitting critical military installations, resource depots, and shipyards with ruthless efficiency. Alien species, accustomed to fighting each other in predictable patterns, were unprepared for the sheer audacity of humanity's tactics. The Varnak Dominion, the architects of Andar Prime's destruction, was humanity's first and most decisive target. Their capital shipyards, once considered untouchable, were reduced to floating debris within hours. The Dominion's fleets, spread thin across their expansive territory, scrambled to respond but found themselves routed at every turn. Human ships, equipped with advanced cloaking technology, struck from the shadows, dismantling their supply lines and leaving their forces stranded and vulnerable. This wasn't a war of attrition, it was a calculated dismantling of an empire. Humanity's fleet operated like a scalpel, cutting out the Dominion's ability to wage war piece by piece. Orbital bombardments were precise, targeting military installations while sparing civilian centers. It was a deliberate choice, meant to send a message. Humanity's fight was with its oppressors, not with innocents. The turning point came during the Battle of Kale Tora, the Dominion's largest naval stronghold. Expecting a direct assault, they had fortified the system with countless defensive turrets, minefields, and battlecruisers. But humanity's approach defied expectation. Instead of a head-on attack, they unleashed a fleet of autonomous drones equipped with hacking algorithms that infiltrated the Dominion's defense systems. Turrets turned on their own ships, minefields detonated harmlessly, and communication networks collapsed into chaos. By the time humanity's main fleet arrived, the battle was already won. Human soldiers, equipped with advanced exosuits and neural combat systems, boarded enemy vessels with unmatched precision. Their tactics were surgical, disabling ships and capturing high-ranking officers rather than killing indiscriminately. The Dominion's forces, used to overwhelming their enemies through brute force, found themselves outmatched by humanity's adaptability and strategic brilliance. What set humanity apart was their mastery of psychological warfare. As the Dominion scrambled to regroup, broadcasts from human leaders flooded their networks. These weren't threats or boasts. They were declarations of intent, recounting the atrocities of Andar Prime and demanding accountability. The broadcasts included footage of the destruction, images of human children buried under rubble, and the faces of survivors vowing never to forgive. These messages spread like wildfire, igniting rebellion among other oppressed species and sowing dissent within the Dominion itself. When the final blow came, it wasn't a climactic battle but a calculated strike on the Dominion's capital world. Humanity's fleet bypassed the remaining defenses entirely, deploying EMP weapons that rendered their planetary shields useless. In a symbolic act of retribution, the human flagship entered the atmosphere, broadcasting a single message: justice for Andar Prime. The Dominion's leadership surrendered unconditionally, their once mighty empire brought to its knees. Across the galaxy, the message was clear: humanity had not just risen, they had transformed into a force that no species could afford to ignore.